Welcome viewers to another fabulous episode of Unapologetically Free. Now today I'm going to go through the second part of what I learned from NoFap, the great lessons from NoFap. Now, the first point I want to talk about is that men are different from women. Now, this may seem very obvious and even stupid to some of you, but I have to emphasize this. Men are different from women. We're just different. We'll never be the same, and we are not the same. Now, the chief of which that I learned from NoFap is you will realize that men have semen and women don't. And when I realize how semen affects me as a man, I realized slowly, oh, this is what it means to be more masculine. This is what it means to be a man. For example, when I'm able to retain the semen in my body, a lot of men out there will start to feel all sorts of different things. Some of them feel hornier, some of them feel more sexual in nature, some of them feel more excitable, but whatever it is, no one would fail to notice that it is this retention of the semen that gives you this drive. The problem with a lot of men is we assume that this drive is simply for us to go and get the girl. But we forget that this same drive is what propels civilizations forward. This same drive is what caused cars to be invented, the iPhone to be invented, the aeroplane to be invented. In fact, over 90% of all the Nobel laureates are men, and many inventors are male. Now, does this mean that men are better than women? I don't know. But facts are facts. Over 90% of Nobel laureates are males, and many of the great inventions that propelled civilization are created by males. And in my opinion, a huge part of this is because us men have this sexual drive that allows us to push through failure, to push through rejection, and to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Males always want to project outwards. We want to make our mark in this world. That's something that is very masculine. It's something that you as a man will never fail, will never be able to dissociate from. You will always want this outward projection of who you are. And that is why it is so important to learn what it means to be a man. Myself personally, when I am depleted of semen, I start to feel like a hormonal little girl. What I mean is I start to feel more emotional, I start to feel more anxious, I start to feel more insecure, which are the things that stereotypically applies to many girls. Now this is not meant to say that there's a better gender. But what this is meant to say is that there are traits that are masculine and there are traits that are feminine. And if you are a man, you need to develop these traits. And NoFap is like the biological answer that tells you this is what you were meant to be. So key, so key. And the second lesson is NoFap makes you more of a man. It does. It boosts masculinity. I was more willing to assert myself, more willing to risk rejection. I had lower anxiety. I have a deeper voice, which is also linked to authority. And what I realize is when I go out there into the world today, a lot of the men out there tend to be there's even this term that is being used nowadays. It's called the new age sensitive guy. New age sensitive guy. Like as if it's something to be so proud of. It's not something to be proud of. They are the men that are emasculated. One look at them and you think, hey, this guy looks weirdly feminine. What's with this? What's the issue with this? Then I ask myself, could it be because of pornography? Because when I was struggling with pornography, every day I would just keep jerking off, and I would feel so weak and powerless afterwards because hours and hours was just spent on doing nothing except browse the internet for sexually suggestive images. And I believe this is the case for many people that I see in my country. They're not willing to risk rejection by perhaps asking a girl out, but instead all they do is jerk off and jerk off and jerk off. And in Asia, for example, in Japan, there's even this issue, what they call that otaku syndrome, where men of age that are supposed to enter into the workforce refuse to. They refuse to because they have grown up in this bubble of watching anime and manga, and when they finally need to be a man instead of a boy and enter adulthood, they are lost. They are lost. And guess what? Japan is one of the largest creator as well as consumer of pornography. Also, Japan is an aging population. An aging population because the younger people are not reproducing. The men are just not. In fact, I think there were interviews shown, studies done that says that the men are not even interested to have sex with normal women. And guess what? Because they have been so satisfied and lured in by pornography. It's so much easier to just rub one out rather than risk rejection from a female. That is how messed up pornography is to our society. Many of the men today, I would say a rough number, at least 50% of us, it differs from country to country. Most of us are submissive, scared of many things. In fact, one of the lectures that I had today, you'll always hear them saying things like, ask my wife, she's the boss. Ask my wife, she's the boss. A culture that permeates this sense of submissiveness in men is to me just so disgusting. It's just disgusting because this sense of strength in a man is so rare nowadays. It's so rare nowadays. I remember I used to admire my grandfather a lot because he was really strong as a man. He would state his views without fear. A lot of vulgarities went into it, but as a little boy, I looked up to him. I felt safe with such a man protecting my house. I felt that he was strong. He wasn't submissive. He wasn't a pushover. He was rough and he was tough. He was masculine, and I looked up to him. But many of the men today, when I look at them, sure enough, they aren't as intimidating. Girls find themselves more comfortable with this man. But when I imagine them to be my father, there would be a sense of disgust in me. Because I just cannot imagine. I cannot imagine such submissive and weak men building up and disciplining their child, their boy, into a strong man. And that's an issue. It is all very linked to the way the whole society works. And to me, going on NoFap is the journey to discover this, to discover what naturally you were meant to do, that you were born and created to do. Let me just end off with this example. It's an example of this friend of mine to show you the state of men today. I asked him this question: would you rather be hated for who you are or loved for who you are not? Hated for who you are or loved for who you are not? He mentioned to me that he would rather be loved by being someone that he is not. You know, when he said that statement, instantly I felt this sense of repulsion towards him, because he is so willing at the drop of a beat to relinquish his identity, to relinquish who he is, what he believes in, whatever he stands for. Why? So that people can like him. That is just plain disgusting. And in fact, this kind of phony people are exactly the kind of people that are not well liked. He wasn't a very well liked person. These are the kind of people who are called the yes men. They agree with you on anything and everything, but you know deep down inside that they don't mean what they say. They don't have an opinion. You see, I would rather someone disagrees with me even strongly, but tell me what he or she really thinks, as opposed to this passive culture of just keeping mum even when they do not agree with you. Those are the scariest people, because they go off not saying anything. You think they are on your side, but hey, on the inside, they are never on your side. They're smiling on the outside, but on their inside, they don't agree with you at all. At all. And that is so much due to this sense of masculinity, the propensity, the courage to fight for what you believe in. All these things are lost, and I believe one of the outlets that it is lost through is our constant watching of pornography and our constant fapping that just drains all the drive that is within us. Now, change will take time. Change will take time. But if you're on this journey towards finding out what it means to be a man, it will be worth it, because when you are able to stand for what you believe in, you are able to say the phrase, I am a man, without feeling this sense of shame. Then you have reached a place. You have reached a fabulous and wonderful place, because you will be like the warriors of old, willing to give their life to a cause. And that is what I wish for you, and that is why Unapologetically Free is even started in the first place. I want men all over the world to be unapologetic about being a man, about being free to be who they are. Doesn't matter what you think you are, who you think you are, whatever. But it's about not being afraid to share what you really think, to share who you really are. Now, if you like this video, like it, subscribe, comment, share it, and I'll see you again.